what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
You think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it opened?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
That's about the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Her teammate Sophie Cunningham, who got a black belt in Taekwondo at the age of 6, she's like, I will F you guys up. All of it's great, and Caitlin's a killer. 10 out of 10.
The WNBA is playing a dangerous game, one that could destroy itself from the inside. Its biggest star, Caitlin Clark, is reaching her breaking point, and the whispers that she's ready to walk away grow louder every single day. This isn't just rookie hazing or competitive jealousy anymore. It's something darker. It's about on-court assaults ignored by the refs, a bitter, jealous league turning on its own savior, and a media more eager to blame Caitlin than to protect her. And now, rumors are swirling that Caitlin is plotting an escape, a bold, defiant move so big it could blow up the WNBA and leave them scrambling for the attention Caitlin herself has handed them on a silver platter. To really understand why walking away is even on Caitlin's mind, you have to appreciate the scale of her impact. Numbers don't lie, they scream. Before Caitlin Clark showed up, the WNBA was a niche league on life support, fighting for airtime and relevance. The moment she stepped onto the floor, everything changed. Empty seats disappeared overnight. Arenas that had been echoing with empty rows were suddenly sold out across the country. And not just in Indiana, we're talking about every city Caitlin visited. Opposing teams had to move their games into larger NBA venues just to fit all the fans desperate to see her play. This wasn't luck. This was Caitlin Clark becoming a one-woman economic engine, lifting the entire league up on her shoulders. Her jerseys were flying off shelves faster than they could make them. Viewership skyrocketed on every major sports network. But the most telling moment came when Caitlin was briefly sidelined with an injury overnight. The WNBA's TV ratings plummeted by an astonishing 55%. Think about that. One player sits out for a few games and over half the audience disappears. Caitlin wasn't just a star, she was the entire show. She was single-handedly funding the league and making everyone rich, including the very players who seemed to resent her for it. And that resentment? It boiled over into something ugly. Caitlin was bringing millions into the sport, and what did she get in return? Targeted, brutal treatment that went far beyond regular competitive basketball. Every game became a highlight reel of cheap shots, hip checks, elbows, off-ball shoves. Opponents weren't just playing Caitlin, they were hunting her. The peak of this madness was the infamous shove by Marina Mabrey, sending Caitlin flying across the floor in a completely unprovoked, dangerous body check. It looked more like a hockey hit than basketball defense, and what did the refs do? Nothing. No flagrant, no serious consequence. And Caitlin? That was the most infuriating part to her detractors. Every time she was knocked down, she never snapped, she never fought back. She never gave them the angry headline they were hoping for. Caitlin just stood up, brushed herself off, and went back to work like it was just part of the job. That composure wasn't seen as class or professionalism. It was seen as arrogance, like she thought she was too good for the WNBA's unwritten rules. The message was crystal clear. You will not outshine us, and if we can't stop you on skill, we'll do it with force. This wasn't just intense basketball, this was personal. And it happened in plain sight. Even Caitlin getting raked across the face or poked in the eye didn't provoke a serious response. Other players, even Caitlin's own teammates, were forced to look to the refs, begging them to do something. And the league? Silent. The people who are supposed to protect the integrity of the sport stayed quiet. Too quiet. They were quicker to jump on uniform violations or post-game sound bites than they were to address the systematic targeting of their most marketable star. That silence spoke louder than anything. It was a green light, a signal to everyone in the league that Caitlin was fair game. Do whatever you want. No one will stop you. That failure to protect Caitlin wasn't just incompetence, it felt like intention. Almost like some twisted hazing ritual Caitlin had to endure to earn her place. Almost like the league was saying, if you want to be at the top, this is the price you pay. And it all happened while the media, instead of rallying around Caitlin, decided to flip the script entirely. Talking heads and so-called analysts began crafting a sick, upside-down narrative. If Caitlin was being hit, it must be her fault. Too cocky. Too outspoken, too confident. They actually dared to say she was bringing this on herself, as if trash talk and swagger in professional sports somehow invited violence. That double standard was staggering. Legends like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird built careers on psychological warfare and competitive edge. They were celebrated for it, but Caitlin? Suddenly those same qualities were painted as character flaws that deserved punishment. It was a double standard so blatant it felt like parody, like the league was saying, if you're a confident woman who backs up your talk, you deserve whatever happens next. And Caitlin did what she could play through it all, put up ridiculous numbers, light up the scoreboard with her trademark deep threes and deadly pull-ups. Every time someone knocked her down, she got up and kept scoring. And yet, the whispers only grew louder. Could she take this forever? Should she? This wasn't just Caitlin Clark's fight anymore. It was the entire future of the WNBA at stake. Every little girl who picked up a basketball was watching this unfold. Every sponsor looking to invest was watching too. Brands want to partner with a sport that celebrates its talent, not one that feeds them to the wolves. And what happens if Caitlyn walks? That's where the real nightmare begins for the WNBA. There's already talk of Caitlyn jumping overseas leagues in Europe would gladly pay top dollar to have her as their face. Or even wilder, imagine some wealthy investor stepping in, throwing $50 million at Caitlyn just to see if the WNBA could survive without her. Picture Caitlyn leading a new rival league built to treat its players like stars, not targets. That kind of move would light a fire under women's basketball like never before. It would expose the WNBA's most fatal flaw, that it never truly appreciated the superstar it was lucky enough to have. And what would be left? Empty arenas, tanking ratings, big-name sponsors walking away, and the harshest irony? It would all be self-inflicted. That's the reality. Caitlyn Clark is staring at a league that desperately needs her and yet can't stop itself from tearing her down. She's trapped in a no-win situation where staying means more hits, more blame, more scrutiny, and leaving means blowing up the whole house of cards. If Caitlyn stays, it's more of the same. Dangerous fouls with no consequences, a league that watches but never protects, a media that twists the story to fit a tired, jealous narrative. If Caitlyn goes, that silence afterwards will haunt them, the empty seats, the vanished audience, the missed chance to grow into a powerhouse sport because they were too proud to embrace the star who could have carried them there. The WNBA is at a crossroads, handed a golden ticket and doing everything in its power to tear it up. And if Caitlyn Clark walks away, if she finally says enough, that will be the day the WNBA learns just what it's lost. And that sound you'll hear when she's gone? That's the sound of a league left to confront its biggest mistake, a star it failed to appreciate until it was too late. Cunningham has been making serious waves across the WNBA over the past week after delivering a hard foul on Sun guard J.C. Sheldon, who, earlier in the game, had already jabbed Caitlyn Clark right in the eye. That foul lit the spark that would ignite a full-blown scuffle, with tempers boiling over and Cunningham at the very heart of it all. Players rushed together, emotions ran hot, and when the dust finally settled, 3 players, Cunningham, Sheldon, and Sun guard Lindsay Allen, were tossed from the game with less than a minute left on the clock. Even after all that chaos, the Fever still managed to close out the game and secure the victory. And that fight, it isn't just an isolated moment. It shines a light on a much deeper issue that's been brewing since Caitlyn Clark's very first season in the WNBA, the sense that referees just don't give her the same protection as other top players. Ever since stepping into the league, Clark's had to endure constant pushing, grabbing, and hard fouls, often without a single whistle blowing. Fans have taken notice too, and they haven't been shy about making their feelings known. Every time Clark hits the floor or takes an extra shot to the ribs, people flood social media and arena seats with their frustration. And this isn't something new. Look back at that game against the New York Liberty earlier this season. On May 24th, a game that went right down to the wire. On the final possession, New York's Natasha Cloud drove her shoulder into Clark as she was trying to control the ball. But the officials kept their hands glued to their pockets, letting play go on even as Clark threw up her hands in disbelief, and Cunningham let them hear it as well. Replays showed it plain as day, Cloud leaning into Clark as the ball slipped loose, but without the foul call. The Fever were down by 2, and if the refs had blown the whistle, Clark would have been standing at the free throw line with a shot to win the game. Instead, it ended in a heartbreaking loss. That's why Cunningham's hard-nosed approach this season feels like a turning point. If nobody else is going to look out for Clark, not the refs, not the league, then Cunningham's going to do it herself. Every hard foul she commits, every shove she returns, sends a message to opponents and referees alike. Don't take liberties with Clark. Don't assume she's fair game just because she's a rookie. Cunningham's clearly decided that it's up to her to stand between Clark and those who want to rough her up. And with each game that passes, everyone involved is starting to realize one thing for sure: this team won't back down, and those referees had better stay on their toes.